Can you imagine your own mother looking you dead in the eye at 15 years old and telling you to figure it out, while she walked onto a flight to Mexico with her new husband and his kids? That's exactly what happened to me. Before we dive into the story, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. I'm always curious to see how far these stories reach. Now let's get into it. I was standing in the middle of the airport clutching my backpack, confused and hopeful, thinking this trip was finally a chance for me to feel included. My mom, Valerie, had been planning this vacation for weeks with her new husband, Damon, and his two kids, Logan and Paige. They were loud, spoiled, and always got what they wanted. I thought maybe this time I'd be treated like part of the family too. Instead, she turned to me with that cold little smirk I'd grown to hate and said the words I'll never forget. "There isn't room for you, Kira. You'll figure it out. You always do." I blinked at her, not understanding. "What do you mean?" "My bag is packed," you said. But she cut me off, already adjusting her sunglasses and glancing at Damon, who stood with his arm wrapped around her like he owned her. Paige rolled her eyes and tugged at her mom's hand, whining about missing their boarding call. Logan laughed under his breath, muttering, "Guess you're not coming." My heart sank. I reached for her arm, desperate, but she pulled away. "Don't make a scene," she hissed. "You're old enough to handle yourself." I wanted to scream, to beg her not to leave me there like some unwanted baggage, but all that came out was a shaky whisper. "Mom, please." She turned her back on me, waving a manicured hand like she was swatting away a fly. Then she walked through security with Damon and his kids without a second glance. The moment they disappeared into the crowd, I felt the ground drop out from under me. I didn't have a ticket, I didn't have any money, and all I carried was a backpack with some clothes and my worn-out journal. People bustled around me, rushing to their gates, laughing with their families, hugging loved ones goodbye. I stood frozen, abandoned in plain sight, my chest so tight I could hardly breathe. I wanted to believe she'd come back, that this was some cruel joke, but the truth was staring me in the face. She chose them. She always chose them. And for the first time in my life, I realized I was completely on my own. I sank into one of the hard plastic seats near the terminal, my backpack wedged between my knees like it was the only thing keeping me upright. My hands shook as I scrolled through my phone, searching for my mom's name. Press call. Straight to voicemail. I tried again, heart pounding, whispering, "Please pick up." Nothing. The third time someone answered. Damon's voice. "Why are you calling?" he snapped. "I need to talk to my mom," I said, my voice trembling. "She left me here." He gave a short laugh. "Your mom warned you. Don't ruin our trip. Be smart and stop bothering us." Then the line went dead. I sat there staring at my screen until the numbers blurred. My chest felt heavy, like all the air in the airport had disappeared. Everyone around me had somewhere to go, someone waiting for them. Had no one. Then a name surfaced in my mind, one I hadn't spoken in years. Grant. My father. The man I hadn't seen since I was 7. He and my mom's divorce had been messy, and she'd made sure I believed he didn't want me. But right then, with nowhere else to turn, I couldn't stop thinking about him. My thumb hovered over his number. I didn't even know if it was still active. What if he hung up? What if he hated me for never reaching out? My throat tightened. But I also knew I couldn't sleep on this cold bench, couldn't pretend I wasn't terrified. Dialed. The ring felt endless until a voice I barely recognized answered. "Hello." My lips quivered. "Dad." The word came out small, uncertain. There was a pause, then sharper, steadier. "Kira." Tears filled my eyes. I'm at the airport. Mom left me. I don't know what to do." Silence. Then his voice, thick with disbelief and anger, but also something gentler. "Stay put. Don't move an inch. I'm coming to get you." "Are you serious?" My voice cracked. "Of course I'm serious. You're not alone anymore. Do you hear me? Not anymore." I clutched the phone like it was a lifeline. Hours felt like minutes, and then the low rumble of engines drew everyone's attention outside the window. A sleek private jet touched down, gleaming under the lights. My heart thudded as the door opened. Grant stepped out in a tailored suit, eyes scanning until they locked on me. He crossed the distance fast, pulling me into his arms. His embrace was firm, steady, warm. "You're safe now," he whispered into my hair. "I've got you." The ride south felt like stepping into a different world. I sat quietly beside Grant, stealing glances at him, noticing the streaks of gray in his hair, the way his jaw tightened every time he looked over at me. When the car pulled through tall iron gates and up a long driveway, I pressed my face to the glass. The estate stretched wide, lanterns glowing along the path, ivy climbing the stone walls of a house that looked straight out of a magazine. But what caught me most wasn't the size of the place. It was how he carried my bag himself, opening the door for me like I mattered. Inside, the smell of something warm filled the air. Instead of handing me off to staff, he rolled up his sleeves, pulled pans from cabinets, and started cooking like he'd been waiting years for this night. I sat at the counter, hands folded, barely knowing what to say. He moved around the kitchen with quiet focus, setting plates, pouring water, checking to make sure I was comfortable. Finally, he sat across from me, his expression soft. "I should have been there," he said, voice low. "Not a day goes by that I don't regret how things turned out." I wanted to ask why he hadn't fought harder, why he'd disappeared, but the words stuck in my throat. He seemed to sense it. "Your mother wanted a life I couldn't give her. She wanted Damon's world, the money, the influence. And she didn't just leave me. She made sure you thought I walked away too." His gaze held mine, steady and aching. "I never stopped trying, Kira. Every letter, every call. She shut me out. And she shut you off from me." The truth stung like salt in an open wound. 4 years I'd believed her stories, that he was too busy, too selfish, too absent. Now I saw how carefully she had rewritten everything. My chest felt tight, but for the first time it wasn't from emptiness. It was from something new, belonging. I picked at my food, my appetite gone, but I couldn't stop watching him. The way he listened when I finally spoke about school, about the silence in that other house, about feeling invisible. He didn't interrupt. He didn't dismiss me. He just listened. When the plates were cleared, he leaned back, eyes firm. "You're not going back there. Not after what she's done. This is your home now." The words wrapped around me like a blanket I'd been waiting for my whole life. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the guest suite, but sleep still clung heavy on me. Downstairs, Grant waited in the study, stacks of papers spread across his desk. His face was calm, though his eyes carried the weight of years he hadn't been able to share with me. He gestured for me to sit. "There's something you need to know," he began, sliding a folder toward me. Inside were copies of letters, all addressed to me, none of which I'd ever seen. Dozens of envelopes, each one returned, unopened. "I tried, Kira," he said quietly. "Every birthday, every holiday I wrote. She made sure none of it reached you." I traced my fingers over the postmarks, proof of a connection I'd been told didn't exist. My stomach knotted. Grant leaned back, his voice steady but edged with pain. "When we went to court, I fought for you. She told the judge I was never around, that I didn't care. She lied, painted me as someone who abandoned his own daughter." His jaw tightened. "That's how she won full custody." I swallowed hard, the image of my mom standing before a judge, twisting words to erase me from his life, settling like a stone in my chest. He continued, almost bitterly. "She bled me dry. Every dollar I made went into battles I couldn't win. And when it was over, she went straight to Damon. She wanted security, and he gave her the lifestyle she craved. It was never about love, Kira. It was about money." The room felt colder with each word. Memories flickered in my mind. Times she'd sneered at me for asking questions about him. Times she told me he couldn't be bothered to call. All of it had been a performance, carefully staged to keep me on her side. I sat there, breathing unevenly, anger rising like fire beneath my skin. For years I'd blamed myself, wondering if I hadn't been enough, if maybe that was why he hadn't wanted me. Now the truth was sharp and undeniable. She hadn't just left him, she'd stolen me away from him. I looked at him, my voice shaking but clear. She chose money over me. He didn't argue, didn't soften it. He just nodded. His eyes filled with sorrow and pride at the same time, as though finally hearing me see it for what it was gave him the tiniest measure of peace. Classes started sooner than I expected. Grant handled everything, signing forms, arranging uniforms, even introducing me to the headmaster of a private academy that looked more like a university than a high school. Walking through the gates, I felt out of place, but he rested a hand on my shoulder and whispered, "You belong here." For once, I almost believed it. Back at the estate, he showed me a suite prepared just for me. The walls were painted in soft tones, a desk stood near the window, and shelves already held books he thought I'd like. A new comforter lay across the bed, neatly folded. It didn't feel temporary. Felt like someone had thought about me, really thought about me. I ran my hand over the fabric, fighting the lump in my throat. Days slipped into a rhythm. The house, though grand, didn't feel empty because Marlene visited often. Grant's sister carried herself with a warmth that immediately disarmed me. She'd sit with me in the kitchen, brewing tea while listening to my awkward attempts to talk about school. She asked questions no one else ever cared to ask. What subjects I liked, what scared me, what I hoped for. With her, the silence inside me slowly cracked open. It wasn't just the kindness. It was consistency. She showed up, checked in, even reminded me to eat breakfast when I tried to rush out the door. She wasn't trying to replace anyone, but somehow she slipped into the role I'd been missing. When she hugged me, it felt different from anything I'd known. Steady, safe, like I wasn't a burden. One evening, as Grant grilled dinner and Marlene teased him about his cooking, I laughed. Startled me the sound of it. For the first time, I wasn't bracing myself for criticism, or waiting to be dismissed. I was part of something, woven into moments that felt like family. Still, when I closed my bedroom door at night, unease lingered. My mind drifted back to the house I'd left behind, the room where I'd spent years feeling small. I pictured her return, the suitcases thudding against the floor, the key turning in the lock. She would see the bare space, realize I was gone, and rage would follow. The thought sat heavy in my chest, a reminder that the peace I was tasting now was fragile. Even surrounded by comfort, I knew a storm was waiting on the horizon. The front door swung open with laughter trailing in. Suitcases rolled across the hardwood, voices overlapping as souvenirs were unpacked. Valerie's heels clicked against the floor while she called out my name, expecting me to come running. When no answer came, her brow furrowed. She climbed the stairs, muttering under her breath about my attitude. Damon followed slowly, Logan and Paige darting into their rooms with candy and trinkets. Valerie pushed open my door, ready to scold, only to freeze. The space was bare. Drawers emptied, closet hollow, shelves stripped. Not a trace of me remained. The air seemed colder without the clutter I'd once called mine. Her eyes swept the room until they landed on the bed. A single envelope rested neatly on the pillow. She snatched it up, tearing the seal. Her face drained as she scanned the contents. Legal documents, stamped and signed. Custody transfer. Filed officially, already in process. Her hand trembled, then tightened, crumpling the pages. A sharp scream tore from her throat. "She's mine. Do you hear me? Mine." Her voice cracked as she shouted down the hall. "Kira belongs to me." Damon leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her unravel. His tone was almost casual, laced with boredom. "I told you this would happen." The girl was dead weight. "You just wouldn't listen." Valerie spun toward him, fury blazing in her eyes. "Don't you dare say that. She is my daughter." He lifted a shoulder in a dismissive shrug. "Then why'd you leave her sitting here while we went to paradise? Face it, Valerie, you made your choice. And now so did she." Her chest heaved, eyes wild as she clutched the crumpled notice. The sound of Logan and Paige laughing in the other rooms twisted like a knife, mocking her loss. For the first time, The certainty she carried like armor slipped away. Control, the one thing she had always held over me, was gone. The papers in her hand proved it. Her grip on me had shattered, replaced by a silence she couldn't command. She stood in the empty room, rage echoing against the bare walls, but the truth settled heavy on her shoulders. This time no scream, no demand, no threat could bring me back. The roar of an engine announced her arrival long before the gates opened. Valerie's car screeched to a halt, dust rising behind it. She stepped out in designer heels, slamming the door with enough force to rattle the frame. Marching up to the iron entrance, she jabbed the intercom button again and again, her voice shrill. "Open this gate right now. My daughter belongs with me." 2 uniformed guards appeared, calm and unmoved. One shook his head. "You're not on the list, ma'am." Valerie's face flushed. "Don't you dare block me from my own child. She's inside, and I'm taking her home." Her words carried across the driveway, sharp and desperate. When the guards refused to move, she gripped the bars, shaking them. "Ungrateful brat," she screamed. "After everything I've done, this is how she repays me." The heavy doors to the estate opened, and Grant walked out, steady and composed. His presence was enough to silence the chaos for a moment. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He stopped just behind the guards, eyes fixed on her. "You left her at an airport, Valerie," he said, each word deliberate. "That was the last choice you got to make as her mother." She flinched, the fury on her face giving way to something closer to panic. "You can't just take her from me. She's mine." Grant's expression never wavered. "She's not a possession. She's a child you abandoned. And now, she's safe where you can't hurt her anymore." From the balcony above, I clutched the railing, my pulse racing. I could see every detail, the tight set of his jaw, the way he stood like a shield between her and me. My breath caught. For the first time someone was defending me, not dismissing me. Valerie's shouts grew weaker, tangled in rage and disbelief, but nothing broke his resolve. Watching him stand there, calm against her storm, I felt something I'd never known before. Protected. The message came through the school office one afternoon. A receptionist knocked on the classroom door, whispering my name. My stomach tightened when she said who was on the line. I almost refused, but curiosity pushed me to the phone. Her voice was soft, sugary, a tone I barely recognized. "Sweetheart, it's me. I just wanted to hear you. I've missed you so much." I stayed silent, gripping the receiver. She rushed to fill the pause. "I wasn't myself that day. I was stressed, overwhelmed. I never meant to hurt you. Someday you'll understand. It was just a mistake." Her words slithered into me. Familiar tactics coated with false tenderness. For years that voice had dictated what I believed. But now, after weeks of safety, of truth, I heard it differently. Each syllable sounded hollow. "I'm older now than you think," I said finally, my tone steady. "You abandoned me. That's not a mistake. That's who you are." The line went quiet. I imagined her mouth opening, closing, searching for a script that no longer worked. She tried again, weaker this time. "Don't say that. You're my daughter. You'll see." But I cut her off. "I already see." My hand didn't shake as I set the phone down. Walking back to class, my chest felt lighter, though the sting lingered. Her betrayal wasn't erased by courage. The scars were still there, etched deep. Yet for the first time they weren't chains. They were proof I had survived her. She might have expected guilt or hesitation, but what she found was a wall she couldn't climb. The control she once held over me was gone, and I was never giving it back. The months rolled forward with a rhythm I had never known before. Early mornings began with quiet encouragement from Grant. Evenings ended with him asking about my day and listening to every word. The stability fueled me in ways I hadn't expected. My grades climbed higher with each report, until I stood at the top of my class. Teachers called on me more often, and I had answers ready. When the debate team announced tryouts, I hesitated, but Grant nudged me gently. Give it a shot. You've got a voice worth hearing. I stepped onto the stage trembling, but once I spoke, the words flowed. By the end, I had secured my place. Practices became my outlet, sharpening my confidence, strengthening a backbone that had been bent for years. The progress showed itself in more than just scores or trophies. I carried myself straighter in the halls. My laughter came easier with friends I never would have dared approach before. Even the teachers noticed, one telling me, "You've become a leader." It was during an academic ceremony that the past crashed into the present. Students and parents filled the auditorium, chatter buzzing beneath the stage lights. As I waited to be called, I spotted her. Valerie. She swept in wearing a sparkling dress, her smile polished for the crowd. She positioned herself near the front, as if the moment was hers to claim. When my name was announced, the applause thundered. The principal beamed, shaking my hand before turning to Grant. "You've raised an extraordinary young woman," he said with genuine pride. Cameras flashed, capturing us side by side, father and daughter. I caught sight of her in the audience, her painted smile stiffening. No one acknowledged her presence. Parents leaned toward Grant, offering congratulations, not a glance in her direction. She shifted in her seat, eyes narrowing as if each cheer for me carved deeper into her. For years, she had clung to the role of devoted mother, the one who deserved recognition. But now, stripped of that title, she was invisible in the very setting where she once commanded attention. I accepted my certificate, feeling the weight of the moment settle in. This wasn't about revenge in the loud, dramatic sense. It was quiet, undeniable. My success, my growth, my bond with the father she had tried to erase. All of it stood as proof. She hadn't just lost custody. She had lost the mask she'd worn for so long, and the jealousy burning in her eyes revealed it all. She found me outside the academy gates one gray afternoon, her voice cracking as she rushed forward. "Kira, please, don't turn away. Damon's gone. I have nothing left. I need you back." Her hands trembled as though reaching could undo years of absence. For the first time, I didn't see the mother I once longed for. I saw someone desperate, not out of love but out of emptiness. Her words weren't about me. They were about filling a void she created herself. I took a steady breath, meeting her eyes without flinching. "You left me first," I said quietly. "And I learned to stand without you." The words cut through her pleading, leaving her stunned, lips parting with nothing left to offer. Grant stepped beside me, his hand warm in mine. Without another glance backward, I walked with him toward the waiting car, each step sealing the distance between who I had been and who I had become. Behind us, Valerie sank to the pavement, sobs tearing through the silence, her figure shrinking as we moved farther away. I lost my mother that day, but I gained something better. A father who chose me, and the strength to finally choose myself. Do you think I made the right choice walking away from my mother after all she did? Or should I have given her another chance? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear. Don't forget to subscribe.